Sox are currently in what I would call a little bit of a pickle right now. What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Red Sea Radio. My name is Corbin, and thank you very much for clicking on this video. If you watched my video yesterday detailing the Triston Casas injury, I told you guys I would make a follow-up video as soon as humanly possible if any news came out, any big updates came out. Well, also yesterday we got our big update that we've been looking for, and unfortunately, it's just as bad as I think we all thought it was going to be. If you have not heard the news yet, I think most of you guys, or I assume most of you guys have heard it at least once so far. The actual injury that Triston Casas sustained was a ruptured patellar tendon. That's basically your kneecap disconnecting from your shin. Not exactly what you want to hear. Obviously, that is going to require surgery to repair, and it's going to take some time for Casas to be back. Craig Breslow said in a very big press conference yesterday that Triston Casas will most likely miss the rest of the season. It is a pretty much definite that he's going to miss the rest of the season with this injury. There's also a chance he misses part of next season as well. This is a pretty big surgery that Triston Casas is going to have to go through. Really, really unfortunate stuff. I just want to say one more time, I do not care about your opinion as to what he was doing on the field at the moment. I don't know how you just simply don't feel bad for the player, for the person themselves when something like this happens in sports, right? There's one thing to criticize a player for what they're doing on the field. It's another to say it's a blessing or this is going to make the team better when a guy gets injured like this, right? Let's take a second and remember that these people are humans. Either way, though, regardless of that, this puts the Red Sox in a really interesting situation, and they have to figure out what they're going to do through first base for the rest of the year, and there's some interesting speculation as to what that may be. Well, right now, we simply don't know what the true answer for the Red Sox is going to be at the moment. There are a couple of things that we can rule out, at least right now. The first is that no, Marcelo Meyer, Roman Anthony is not going to be picking up a first baseman's glove. I always kind of hated the idea of Roman Anthony just simply, hey, let's call him up and put him at first. I don't know if that's exactly how it works, considering he's never taken a pitch in the infield before. Marcelo, honestly, not that incredibly far-fetched, considering right now he's playing every single infield position, not first base, right? How big of a transition is that going to be for a guy who's incredibly solid defensively? But either way, both of those players will not be playing first base, at least according to Craig Breslow, in the near future. He did a whole press conference. We talked about it. I'm going to link the article that has all really the pertinent quotes in it down below from Chris Cotillo of Mass Live. But in this article, Breslow says, quote, both of these guys obviously are showing the ability to impact both sides of the ball. Given the bright futures that they have ahead of them and in their respective positions, introducing additional variables just doesn't make a ton of sense right now. That is Breslow / baseball GM speak for they're not going to use them at first. I never really thought either of them at first base was the greatest idea in the world to begin with. The Red Sox appear to also have that same thought process, as they're probably going to look elsewhere for their first base solution. The other name that a lot of people are throwing around, that I threw around, that doesn't seem to be the immediate solution for the Red Sox is the idea of giving Rafael Devers a first baseman's glove. Specifically, what I'm talking about here is Alex Cora, who also in this article had a quote to say, from my end, right now, no. This was when he was asked about Rafael Devers at first base. We asked him to do something in spring training. In the beginning, he didn't agree to it. Now he's very, very comfortable doing what he's doing. Like I told you guys in spring training, he's my DH. It's not delicate at all. We made a decision. We talked to him. He's a DH. Now, I think what's kind of interesting about this quote from Alex Cora is he's adamant, right? He's not sugarcoating it. He's not beating around the bush. He's saying, nope, I want this dude at DH. Breslow, on the other end, was a little bit iffy about it. He was asked a couple of times, pretty much the same question, right? Have you thought about Rafael Devers at first base? Instead of fully shutting it down, he said basically the same line as he said throughout the entire interview, is that we're exploring all options on the table. Interesting to me, right? We kind of saw this a little bit in spring training where Alex Cora didn't feel as though he was totally in on Rafael Devers being a full-time DH. Breslow seemed to want that really badly. I'm curious to see if these guys are on the same page when it comes to the Rafael Devers situation. In my opinion, I know I was adamantly against Rafael Devers at first base over the offseason, but a lot of that was because you had Triston Casas over there, right? You had him over there. I don't love the idea of Devers' defense over at first base, but you talk about how situations change during a season. I think this is kind of one of them. I'm not saying immediately, right? I'm not saying the Red Sox should throw him out there tomorrow as your everyday first baseman, but I don't totally agree with Corey here. I understand where he's coming from, where he's saying, look, it took a little bit for Rafi to accept the changes that we forced upon him this spring. He's finally getting in a groove. He's hitting really well. He's hitting really well over the last couple of series, 3 series now that he's been on fire. It seems like he's finally gotten into a routine. And his most important asset will always be his bat, right? No matter whether he's first base, third base, DH, or center field, Rafael Devers' most value is going to come at the plate, and you need that guy to be producing if you want to win baseball games. Putting the pressure on him now to move to a different position after he finally settles into an entirely new position could put you back into that hole where you're missing Rafael Devers' bat in middle of games, and you don't really want to do that. So I get where Corey's coming from, but maybe over the long term, Triston Casas could be out for a pretty long period of time here. You're telling me that you can't at least try getting Rafael Devers some ground balls at first base over the next couple of weeks just to simply see, right, if he's capable of doing it, or see if he's comfortable doing it, or any of those things. I don't know. To me, that doesn't seem like the worst idea in the world right now, especially given your other options that we're going to talk about here in a second. But I don't hate this. Either way, though, it kind of sounds like none of these 3 guys are going to be your answer for long-term DH here for the Red Sox this season. So what are the potential answers here? Well, we've already kind of talked about internal options for the Red Sox, right? In yesterday's video, we brought up a bunch of guys in the system who played first base. I'm just going to go over them quickly again one more time for you guys. You got Nick Sogard, who has experience pretty much throughout his minor league career playing a little bit first base. You've got Vaughn Grissom, who's only played 4 games at first base. This is actually a guy, again, you talk about, okay, maybe not tomorrow, but hey, a month from now, is there someone in here that could take over that first base role on a more full-time basis? I would look a little bit towards Vaughn Grissom. The offensive ceiling is absolutely fantastic. He's killing it at the plate at AAA right now. Could be an interesting solution for the Red Sox later down the road. You've got Abraham Toro, who, by the way, is up with the Red Sox right now. He was the corresponding move to Triston Casas going on the IL. He didn't look fantastic defensively in Worcester. He's not going to give you a ton at the plate overall. He's sort of, in my opinion, a stopgap solution here. And then you've got Nathan Hickey, who's, again, not a fantastic hitter at the AAA level, but has a ton of first base experience. And then you've got Yasmani Grandal, who you just brought in to the minor league system here. And I actually, again, you talk about interesting solutions here. We mentioned it a little bit in the video yesterday, but what would be kind of an interesting solution for the Red Sox would be, hey, Connor Wong has played some first base for the Red Sox at the major league level. Yasmani Grandal has played first base for a lot of teams at the major league level. What if you bring up Yasmani, put him on the bench? Now all of a sudden you've got 3 first baseman options. You've got Romy, you've got Yasmani, and you got Connor Wong, while also still being able to have at least 2 catchers on your roster at all times. I actually think this is a really interesting one. I don't know what Yasmani's going to be able to give you, especially, 37 years old, defensively or offensively at first base, but at least it gives you a bunch of options there, and you can keep kind of cycling through until something works. I don't know. There's not really a ton of super intriguing options for immediate solutions for the Red Sox in their system, which is why I think it's interesting that in this same Chris Cotillo article that, again, I'm going to link below, one of the things that he mentioned is, quote, instead, the Red Sox will use utility men Romy Gonzalez and Abraham Toro in a platoon at the position while scouring the trade, waiver wire, and free agent markets for external options. It sounds like the Red Sox, or at least according to Chris Cotillo, are really intrigued by the idea of bringing someone in from outside the organization as opposed to looking in. So from there, you look at, again, okay, waiver wire, trade, free agency, who could be the impact players? Free agent market is, I'll call it bare, to put it lightly. You've got Jose Abreu, at least according to Spotrac, still available on the free agent market. This guy did not have a good season last year, right? He got DFA'd or he got released or something. Something happened with the Astros. The reason for that is because he had 14 hits in 113 at-bats last year and accumulated a negative 1.7 WAR in just 35 games. I mean, this dude was not good at any level for the Houston Astros. It was not pretty, to the point where they just cut ties. And there's a reason He did not get signed this offseason. The other name that's still available on the free agent market is Anthony Rizzo. He dealt with his own injuries over the season last year. He was, I would say, at least more productive than Jose Abreu. Not exactly a high bar. He wasn't entirely unproductive. He had a 637 OPS in 92 games with an 81 OPS plus. Would give you that lefty bat, would be solid defensively. I don't know, maybe there's some intrigue there for the Red Sox. I think the one big thing here that sort of puts me in the I don't even know if you touch this category is that Anthony Rizzo did not sign with a team this offseason because he said he's not going to play if he's not paid what he believes he is worth. Last year, he made $20 million with the Yankees. If his, unless I get paid this, I'm not going to play price is anywhere near that number. I don't think it's anywhere close to worth anything for the Red Sox to even remotely look at this. Paying $20 million for that Anthony Rizzo, even 15, even 10, maybe even 5 might be way too much to get for Anthony Rizzo. A name to pay attention to a little bit. I'm not too overly pumped about the prospect of Anthony Rizzo on the Red Sox. Then there's the waiver wire, which is basically at this point either DFAs or guys with opt-outs. Chris Cotillo mentioned a couple of potential options. Dominic Smith, a reunion with him. Last year, he was kind of fun to watch on the Red Sox. He's currently in the Yankees system with an opt-out in there somewhere. You have to wait a little bit, but maybe that's someone who you could kind of, talk to and say, hey, where are you at with this opt-out? Maybe we could bring you back on a major league deal. As much as I love Dom Smith, the personality and the moments he had when he, what did he steal home or something with the Red Sox last year? He wasn't a great player overall. I don't know if that's, if you're going to be competitive this year, Dominic Smith being your almost everyday first baseman, is that going to be able to do it for you? It's kind of a similar conversation to anyone really on the waiver wire, right? You've got guys like Trey Mancini, who hasn't been great in a while, Mike Ford, who gives you a lot of power, but it's only when he makes contact, and Yuri Gurriel, who was recently DFA'd from the Padres. He's 40 years old. The trade market's a bit more wide open, if we're being honest. You could potentially trade for just about anybody in the league with the farm system you have. It's just sort of about, okay, what are you willing to give up, right? There are two avenues here. You could go the avenue kind of similar to what you did last year when Casas went down, where you make a smaller trade for a Garrett Cooper type player. You could potentially go out and land yourself a bigger fish. There are guys like Ryan Mountcastle, who's getting towards free agency, who the Orioles don't appear to be interested in signing long term. But again, if you're a team in Major League Baseball right now, are you sitting there saying, you know what, Red Sox, Breslow, listen, I know you got it hard right now. I'm going to cut you a break and we'll make a fair deal to get this guy on your team? No, right? Of course not. You're trying to beat these guys. You're not giving up anyone of value to the Red Sox unless they're paying a premium penny. So then it becomes a question of, is it worth it for the Red Sox to go out and get that super impact talent on the trade market if you're going to have to give up way over what you want? I don't know, right? I sit there and I think, okay, you compare what it would take to get in a guy who would make an impact on the Red Sox offensively, defensively, whatever, with what you have in your system right now in terms of long-term solutions, and you kind of weigh the opportunities here, right? Is Vaughn Grissom really an option here for the Red Sox to be a full-time first baseman at some point? Because if he is, could he be as impactful as some of these guys so you'd have to give up a premier talent to get? Can you actually convince Cora or Rafi, whoever it is, that maybe him long-term at first base is the solution the Red Sox need? If that's the case, well, then DH opens up and now you can be way more flexible. The DH role, in my opinion, is way easier to fill with legit impact guys than the first base spot is right now. I think looking at everything, it's super interesting. Chris Cotillo is saying, look, they're more likely looking externally than they're looking internally. I'm sitting there saying, is it worth it to look externally if you have potentially similar options internally where you don't have to give anything up? I don't know. I just don't see where the Red Sox go from here. I've seen a lot. I've seen a lot of crazy solutions. There are definitely ones that I think people have brought up that aren't going to happen. Trevor Story going to first base, to me, makes absolutely no sense at all. He's a great shortstop. He's not super big, right? That to me just doesn't make a ton of sense. I saw someone say Jarren Duran to first base. Absolutely not, right? That would be ridiculous. I did see Christian Campbell to first base. That one's a little interesting to me. I don't know that I do it, but at the same time, too, you got Marcelo for second. Campbell's athletic. He's played a bunch of positions already. He's a big body over there. He's tall. He's got a long stride. I don't totally hate that one either. I don't know. There's just so many solutions where you sit there and you're like, well, that might be able to work, but it's not perfect. I think that's the problem when you lose a guy like Triston Casas. So Let me know what your opinion is. What would you do if you're the Red Sox? Are you looking externally? Are you looking internally? It's not Marcelo Meyer or Roman Anthony. Please stop commenting that. It's not happening. If it's not those guys, who is it? Let me know in the comments down below. As always, if you made it to the end of this video, do me a favor. Make sure you guys have hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. If you're new here, we talk Red Sox content almost every single day. Also, make sure you guys have hit the like button on this video as well. Just simply helps out a ton, and it's the best way to let me know you're enjoying the content. Don't forget, if you guys want to listen instead of watch these episodes, all you got to do is head over to your favorite podcasting app and look up Red Sea Radio. Thank you all very much for clicking on this one, and I will see you in the red seats.